Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a tutorial on this look right here. I did a lot of layering and building. I spend the majority of my time on my eye looks creating the foundation, if you will. And the transition shade. So that is what I spend the most amount of time on. And the layering and building technique is just a lot of applying and blending, going in, kind of adjusting and tweaking and blending. And it's just a lot of like a back and forth, but you really get a beautiful result when you do it. I did use the new Too Faced Natural Lust palette, which looks like this. But the focus of today's video is not on the eye look, although it came out really beautifully with all of the layering and building steps. But it's more the focus on working with hooded eyes, aging eyes, downturned eyes, and how to keep them lifted. I almost rarely ever do the domed shape technique, and I rarely ever use really dark, deep colors, especially out here, because with small hooded eyes, a lot of dark shades, especially if you have dark on the inner corner and then you have dark on the outer corner, it just makes the eyes look really beady. So you will almost see me, never see me do that. I'm always keeping the inner corner bright. This has kind of become a signature look of mine. It's just what I've been doing a lot of. So just a lot of tips and tricks and techniques, and that's kind of the focus of today's video. So if you guys want to see how I got this look and learn some tips and tricks for keeping everything lifted, if you have hooded eyes, aging eyes, downturned eyes, then just keep watching. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and you know the drill. Like, share, comment, subscribe, spread the word, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of all of my future uploads. Whew, and without wasting any more time, let's just get into this tutorial. My phone shut off. Sorry. So I'm gonna start over. So like I was saying, I'm gonna take this red brick sienna shade and I'm gonna create my fake crease a few millimeters above the natural crease, and going with that little dot that I placed, I'm gonna kind of start right on the inner corner. That little squishy part in your eyeball that you can push in right directly above that is the brow bone. I'm pretty much starting right on that brow bone, and I'm gonna map this out from the inner corner towards the outer corner, but I'm not taking this all the way out here. I am taking it about 2/3 of the way, and I'm going to flick this upward just a little bit just to kind of feather it out and just to kind of soften it, and I'm only doing that to the edge of it. And then I'm going to work on getting the other eye. So this is pretty much kind of like the shape that I'm going with. So not only am I putting in a new crease so that my shadows will be seen when my eyes are open and I'm looking straight ahead, because this is my new crease. So when I refer to the quote upper crease, I'm going to be doing my shadows up in this area. So basically right on the new crease, because if they went into my natural crease, which is basically a hood, it's some skin fold that's just hanging over my natural crease, you're not going to see it. So it kind of looks like this, and it kind of looks like a little bit of a gradient going. It's actually the same color. I haven't used any other color. I haven't started with my transition shade or anything. I'm just kind of building, and this kind of layering and building technique is kind of a little bit tedious because it's kind of back and forth, and you apply like a little bit and then you kind of blend that out, and then you take a little bit more and you kind of blend, and it's kind of like apply a blend type of deal, and it does take a little extra time, but you really build that base, that foundation, and that is, like I said, that, you know, this crease and the transition shade is what I spend the majority amount of time on the eyeshadow, is just kind of building that foundation. So once I've gone and I've kind of flicked this out and kind of created a little bit of a gradient with that fake crease line, I'm gonna go back and pick up just like a little bit more. And this time I'm going to kind of concentrate just on the actual fake crease line itself. I want to deepen that line up, because when I put my shadows above that, I want this base line to be the deepest. So here's my natural crease right in here, and I'm going to go right above it. So right kind of on that fake crease line that I put in. But I'm just going to follow the curvature of the actual eyeball. So I'm just going to kind of go in like in a little semicircle. I'm not taking it all the way in and I'm not going all the way out. I'm just going to deepen it up right at the base, and I'm kind of right on that brow bone, because here's like the squishy part and here's kind of like where the bone starts. So I'm kind of like right on there, and I'm just going to deepen that up. And if you look at it kind of from a distance, you can kind of see, talking about how I was deepening up the base of that fake crease line and just kind of going in a little semicircle shape, not all the way in, not all the way out, just kind of deepening it up as if it were a actual wrinkle or an actual crease. So just giving that illusion by deepening that up. And then I went on to lining up, because we're going to be putting the tape on. And to kind of figure out where you want to put the tape, depending on if you want it a little bit higher or a little bit out. But the basic premise of it is to kind of line up between your nose and the edge of your eye, and then straight up towards the temple, so it connects with the edge of the brow if it goes out that far. For me, it's just a little bit easier to follow my lower lash line, create a little line that goes up, and I'm going to kind of connect this with that fake crease line, which is right here. So this area right in here, if you can kind of see, like right up in through here where I've connected it, is sort of like my new outer V. Because if you watch a lot of these YouTube tutorials with these girls that have, you know, a perfectly defined crease and nice almond shaped eyes, and you go in and you try to put shadow in your outer V and you have smaller eyes, hooded eyes, or downturned eyes, it is just not going to work. So you need to kind of create your own outer V, and that's kind of just what we did here by lifting this up and taking this out. This is going to be our new outer V, and it's going to lift the eye up, and that is what this tape is going to do. I don't use the tape so that I get a really sharp, harsh edge out here. I know that some people like that effect. If anything, sometimes I will go in and just kind of smooth that out, just like a little bit, just to make it a little airbrushed. I do it because it really does keep the entire look lifted. And I know that when I use this tape method, I know that I'm going to get a nice lifted look. You will almost rarely never see me do anything in a domed shape, because I just don't like that on myself, because my eyes are downturned anyway, so I don't want to accentuate that by doing a domed shape. On me personally, I don't like it. You know, everybody's eye shape is different and everyone's preferences is different, but on myself, I like everything kind of winged out, lifted, sort of that cat eye-ish effect. That is just what I like on myself, so that is what I do. So now that I have this line created, I kind of have a guideline of where I'm going to be placing my tape. And I'm just going to line the tape up with the line that I just created. And now I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay, so you can kind of see that how I have mine. If you like it more up and you want it a little bit more of an angle, then you would just take the tape up a little bit higher. If you wanted it to come down a little farther because you wanted to kind of drag out the shadows kind of out a little bit, then you would just kind of, you know, bring the tape down. This step is definitely easier to do if you have not done your face makeup. For me, I don't do a lot of heavy face makeup, so I'm good with just doing the patchwork afterwards. But yeah, the tape method is usually done, you know, before you do like your full face. And you can already see that it looks like I've got some kind of, you know, it looks like I've built some shadows up here already, because I've got kind of a gradient going from dark, the deepest being right here, and then just kind of a gradient of color going upward. And I've really actually only used one color, so this kind of layering and building technique is kind of tedious and time consuming. It's a lot of applying a little bit of color, blending it out, going back in, taking a little bit more, blending that out, and that sort of thing. Takes a little bit of time, but it's definitely worth it in the end, because I feel like you get a much more textured, put together look. I don't know. I spend the most amount of time on this foundation part and the transition shade, and then the rest of it just kind of all comes together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to put in some bronzer. I'm going to do my transition shade, and I'm going to grab, I'm using the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil bronzer. I'm going to grab a, you know what? I think I'm just going to use this one. This is the Sigma E35 tapered blending brush for this step. I'm going to pick up a little bit of bronzer, and I'm not going in my natural eye socket or my natural crease because that's where the skin fold is. I'm going to concentrate this right on top of these shades that I've already put in just to warm up the look, add a little bit of, you know, warmth on top of this. So here's my natural crease right in here. This is where I created the fake crease. I'm going to kind of take it above. So when I say upper crease, I'm referring to the new crease that I created, because the new crease is above my natural crease, and my natural crease is hidden by what? Skin fold? The hood of the eye? Oh, that would be it. Yeah. So gonna go ahead and take this now right onto the new crease that I created, and I'm just gonna do little circular motions. And when I get out here, I'm going to kind of flick it up, and then I'm going to take it down alongside the tape. So I'm starting in the inner corner, blending with little circular motions, kind of flicking it out up here, and then coming down. I also want to bring a little bit more shading and structure on the inner corner. So I'm going to kind of swirl this up towards the brow area, and just really lightly feather this out up here and take a little bit down in through here. And since I'm here, I'm going to grab a little bit of the bronzer and just kind of do a little bit of a nose contour and just kind of feather that into this bronzer that I put up here and feathered it into the brow. So it just kind of all kind of connects. I just feel like it softens everything. And I like the warmth that it gives to the face. I need a, all right, I'm going to take the Sigma E40 now. This is a clean brush, has nothing on it. And I'm just going to buff out here. I like it really kind of airbrushed and airy out here to the end. So I concentrate, if anything, the majority of my shading kind of on the inner corner. It's a little bit more structured, and then I sort of have it really kind of airy out towards the end. And I am going to deepen up the crease a little bit more, but before I do that, I'm going to map out my lid space and kind of get that going just to kind of see the overall picture. Once that is done, then I'm going to go in and add another crease shade, just kind of deepen it up a little bit more. Map out my lid space. I am going to deepen up the crease a little bit more, but I first want to kind of get this mapped out and kind of get some formation going. I want to get the shape going on my lid, and then I'm going to deepen up the crease from there. So I think I'm going to take this shade. This one seems to be like one of the lightest shades in this palette. I'm going to see how this works. I'm going to take a little bit of that and this matte shade, because I think this one is a shimmer. And I'm going to just map out my lid space. Once I get this mapped out, then I'm going to deepen up the crease. I just want to kind of see where I'm at with the overall look. And where I'm placing this is where my shimmer is going to be. And I always cheat my lid space. I take it just slightly above my natural crease. I take it just right underneath that fake crease that I created. So it looks something like this. We're gonna get, I like to get this lid space mapped out, and then I'm going to go back in and deepen up the crease. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to add a lighter brown shade, and I'm going to deepen it up more in the front where I like more shading, so I get that structured inner corner. I see that a lot on Kylie, and that's just kind of how I get it, is I just do a little bit more shading on the inner corner, and it's a little bit more feathered out to the end. I'm going to do a darker shade on my outer V area, and that I'm going to start out there and bring it lighter towards the inner corner. So those are the two next steps. So I'm going to take this shade right here, which is Set in Stone. It's just a little bit darker than the bronzer shade. And I'm going to start this by kind of laying it down right where I want the majority of the shading. All right, now I'm going to go into this plummy shade right here. It's called Come and Get It, and I'm taking this on a flat shader brush. I think this is an old MAC. I can't even read the number. I think it's like 144. Yeah, 144. And I'm going to take this on the outer lid. And I'm going to take it up to, almost kind of up to the fake crease line. This is I'm only taking this halfway in on the lid area, and I'm just gently sweeping it across the fake crease line, just to add a little bit more depth and dimension in the upper crease. A little bit of my Bobbi Brown Bone shade, because that palette does not have one, and I'm just going to do a little light wash of color out here, just so that if there's any shades out here that got up a little too high, everything is just kind of buff and blend into this bone shade. This is a great little blending tool shade. They work as little kind of magic erasers, and they also just kind of buff your transition shade, so everything is really kind of light and airy. Feathery, I don't know what the right word is. Look, it really is a lot of layering and building, and it's a lot of back and forth, and it's very hard to actually film because you're constantly just adding a little bit and going back in and touching it up, and you know, going back and checking the alignment and kind of making sure that it's exactly like you want it, and maybe adding a little tiny bit more over here, and then maybe blending out a little extra over here. It's just a lot of back and forth, but so worth it. So now for the fun part, I'm going to take a little bit of MAC Fix Plus on the flat shader brush, and I'm going to put in my shimmers. Sometimes I will do a dual shimmer, kind of a darker shade out here, and I like the inner corner to always be bright. That's just has become my literally like my signature look. I do it on every single eye look that I do. This shade is really looking beautiful. This one called Sex Drive. I think I'm going to put that on the outer part of the lid, and on the inner corner I think I'm going to take a mixture of Flirty Pop and Love Spark. I just love both of those shades. I can't figure out which one, so I think that is what I'm going to do. Oh, this shade is beautiful too. They're all so beautiful. And then I'm going to wipe off this brush and spritz a tiny bit more. And I'm going to pick up the middle shade, which is Flirty Pop, and then I'm going to repeat that same process, and I'm going to put this on the inner corner. All right, once I have all of these shimmers laid down exactly where I want them, I'm going to take a really fine, you can use a pencil brush for this step. I think I'm going to grab, yeah, I'm going to take this little tiny pencil brush. This is the Detailed Lip Brush L04 from Sigma. It is perfect. It is literally like a tiny, it's a lip brush. but it works perfect for detailed work right in the crease. And I'm going to just pick up this shade right here, which is Call Me Back. I could also use the bronzer for this step. I'm just going to go over the border and just clean up the line of that shimmer and just make sure that it's nice and even, and then make sure that there's no like gaps where the shimmer is kind of uneven. I always call it the border. I don't know what else to call it. It's the area between the shimmer and your darkest crease shade. Now I'm going to brighten up the inner corner even more, and this is another, like, this is literally like just become my signature look. Like, I do this like all the time. I'm gonna take this light, this is the, what's called All Tied Up. It's the white shimmer, really white shade, and I'm going to pop this right on the inner corner. This palette does have a black shade in it. It's called Blindfolded. It's very, very jet black. I'm going to be using two brushes for this step. I'm going to be using the Hourglass number 10 angle brush and this Makeup Forever flat definer brush to stamp along the lower lash line. So I'm going to start with this number 10 brush. And to start the wing, I'm going to need a smaller mirror, I think, to hold up so you guys can see. I'm going to start at the outer third of the lower lash line right here. I'm going to draw a line straight out to where it meets the tape. And then I'm going to fill it in. On the flat definer brush now, I'm going to stamp the lower lash line just kind of right at the roots. Kind of wiggle it in there. All right, now for the really fun part, my favorite part, I'm going to remove the tape and I'm going to do the lower lash line and then do the patchwork and touch up where the makeup is removed from when I take off the tape. And then I'm going to touch up my face and the bronzer so everything really kind of meshes together. And that is the final step on the eye look, is to now do the lower lash line. Ooh. It is so beautiful. It is so worth it when you really take that time and really put in the effort to do the apply, blend, and to kind of build that foundation slowly. You get such a beautiful result. So on the 433 now, I'm going to go in with the bronzer and I'm going to start the lower lash line process. So I'm going to go back into the flat definer brush and I'm actually going to take this shade right here, which is Hot to Trot, and I'm just going to stamp this on the lower lash line really close to the root and just kind of wiggle it back and forth. I like a really blown out smoky lower lash line, so I'm always, after I put in the deepest shade, I go back in with the lighter transition shade and smoke it out even more. I've gone back in and kind of patched up where I took the tape off, and now I'm just throwing on some bronzer to tie everything together. And I touched up my lips using the Kylie Cosmetics Angel Cake lipstick, and I'm going to use the Kitten Baby blush. And I am not a apple of the cheeks blush person, so I usually start kind of in the middle and kind of swirl it upwards. I've just never been that apple of the cheeks kind of blush person. So pretty, so pretty. That completes the look, but I am going to use a setting spray. I think I used this last time, the new Anastasia Dewy set, which I absolutely love, but I think I'm just going to use this Mario Badescu. This is Aloe, Herbs, and Rose Water spray. I'm going to turn my head and spray this way, and then I'm going to dry with this fan. Here we go. All right, guys, so that completes the look. I am loving it. When you really take your time and do the layering and building and really kind of build that foundation, you get such a really pretty look. With summer just around the corner, we're going to be doing a lot of quick and easy eye looks. It's going to be a lot of bronzer in the crease and a lot of you know, shimmer highlight on the lid, and it's just gonna be quick and easy. So this completes the look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Mwah! I love you guys. I will see you in my next one. Bye.